What's up, YouTube? This is Sir Hunt's Reviews, and in this video I'm going to be talking about a fan theory and where do I see Game of Thrones ending. Kitty, don't knock over your food. Okay, so this theory involves Rickon being on Skagos with Arya, and Davos is actually sent to go pick him up. Anyway, the theory, it's a fan theory, and it's on Reddit, and I honestly wasn't able to find it, so that's why I thought I'd talk about it in this video. I just remember reading it. So the theory states that Davos is on Skagos, and he is walking around, and he's brought in front of, basically, like, he's spotted, and people on Skagos, known from the books, they don't really fuck with anybody unless you're from Skagos, so they could tell that Davos is an outsider, and he's brought in front of their cannibal king, because Skagos are actually cannibals and shit. But anyway, Davos is brought in front of their cannibal king, and he's like, look, I'm here, my name is Davos Seaworth, I'm from Westeros, and I'm here to get Rickon Stark, the king of the north. We do know that from the books, the Skagos were loyal to the Starks. We do know that they have rebelled from them in the past, and that means they're rebelling against the capital. It's happened several times throughout Westerosi history. We're not here to talk about that. Davos tells the Cannibal King his deal, and the Cannibal King's like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. You're welcome to take the rest of this day and walk around and try to find Rickon. He's like, so yeah, you got till nightfall to basically get off the island. I wouldn't recommend being here for fear of your safety. So Davos was like, alright, bet. He walks around for a little bit, and he ends up coming across a group of, like, adolescent kids that are playing around, and he notices a direwolf sitting next to one of us. Hence, we have Rickon. So, of course, Davos, Rickon. So, of course, Davos walks up to Rickon, and he's like, hey, look, man, I'm from such and such. Jon, your brother, and Stannis, they want me to come and get you. You're going to come with me? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who the fuck is Rickon? And then he walks away. So then Davos ends up leaving. In this theory, Rickon, or King Rickon of the North, since technically he would, I don't think he would because he's a boy, so yeah, he would outrank Sansa and Bran. They think he's dead or paralyzed, blah blah blah. He can't carry the title. So the next in line would be Rickon, theoretically. So yeah, he shows up riding his direwolf, and he just like starts killing motherfuckers. And moving along, we have where do I see Game of Thrones ultimately ending? I was actually got into a conversation with one of my subscribers earlier. We got to talking about how do we see Game of Thrones ending, and she said that she sees basically Tyrion being a Targaryen amongst other stuff. I'm not gonna say that because I don't want to take her theory, you know what I mean. But anyway, I see it ending ultimately with, like I said in the comment thread, basically Jon Snow has gotten all of his armies together and shit, and they're fighting the White Walkers, and they start losing horribly, and then Dany shows up with her dragons. Tyrion's on one of them, maybe. In the books, Aegon will be on the other one. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, and then she's like, hey, look, dragons, burn all these motherfuckers, and then they just use a whole bunch of dragon glass and just kill everything. That's just like the last 2 episodes, you know what I mean? All that stuff in between, we'll get to it as those episodes come out, because everything changes, you know what I mean? All your predictions change, but that's what I would like to see personally. Like, Dany shows up, it's like this huge epic, like 6 episode fucking battle, and this is season 8. It was gonna end in season. Kitty, I'm filming, dude. It was gonna end in season 7, but there ended up HBO squeezed another season out of Dan and Dave. So basically, this is gonna be season 8, episode 5 through the end of it, episode 10. And those 5 episodes being like this huge fucking epic battle, and then like the last 2 episodes, Dany shows up with Drogon. Maybe one of her dragons has been killed at this point, and she's only got one more, and she shows up with that one. And maybe Tyrion's riding it. Maybe Tyrion, like I said in the comment, gets not necessarily trained, because he kind of does know how to fight, but not like Lord of the Rings style dwarf fighting. And I don't think those really exist in. I don't know. The dwarves from Lord of the Rings are a lot stronger than like Tyrion and shit. I know Tyrion could probably be trained in some. But they keep it more realistic. They understand that he's a smaller person, so it's a lot harder for him to do the shit that the dwarves in Lord of the Rings do. Like, those dudes are fucking badass. It would just be cool. And I saw some deviant art from the Bat Productions that shared a whole bunch of these pictures, and I saw this picture of Tyrion in some sick ass like dwarvish armor. That's what made me think of this. It would be so cool to see him like showing up, and then like he actually mentioned in the video, you know what I mean, riding on that one dragon that wasn't killed, and then they just rush into the battle and burn all the White Walkers right as Jon's about to be killed again, and then they settle it for a little bit, and then I don't know. Then we find out that the whole time fucking the Faceless Men were working with the others and just like one big conspiracy, and then we find out, you know what, Illuminati was behind everything. I do want to touch on another video that Ricey put out the other day about how Jon Snow is going to be when he comes back, and like I said, he's going to be like Maester Aemon told him, kill the boy, let the man be born. That's what's going to happen. Like, Starks are described notoriously in the books as being like cold and like just not necessarily like mean, but just like having this demeanor of like they're from the north breeds hard men, you know what I'm saying, like on some shit like that. So basically I could see him, since it's only the first time he's being resurrected, I could see him coming back as just an actual Stark, maybe. Like maybe we'll find out that Rhaegar is his father, whatever, we're not going to talk about that, but basically he comes back and he's just more like a northern man, like a Stark, you know what I mean? Basically just cold as ice and shit. Also, I do want to add on that what I said in me and Ricey's conversation was basically that the more times you're resurrected, the more time it affects your personality, meaning like you lose more and more of yourself. And the Beric we saw in the show, I mean, he was still with it. Like, honestly, like, yeah, he might have said, like, he lose part of himself and all this bullshit, but, or not bullshit. No, bullshit. He says all this shit, but basically he seems like he's with it. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem like he can't, like, walk around, like, all, like, half retarded and shit. Nah, like, nah. Also, he was split in half, so that would probably affect a lot more, you know what I mean? Because he was gone further, I guess, if you want to say. Jon Snow was just stabbed. He might have trouble speaking because he was stabbed in his vocal cords and that shit collapsed. But if he's brought back, he's brought back. It's a little bit colder. Maybe not necessarily full-on hardcore revenge seeking like Lady Stoneheart, even though that would be fucking awesome. They're not going to do that. He might just be less likely to question himself when he's like, okay, should I behead all these people that stabbed me? Yes. You know what I mean? The Jon Snow that we fucking needed last season. Another thing I wanted to touch on was a lot of people think that Sansa is going to be named Queen of the North, and that's like going to be the ultimate end game. And I'm not saying that I don't see that happening, but I'm saying here's the reason why I honestly think that would be like I don't know, it would be kind of like a shit on us from HBO, because like she's had multiple chances to fucking step her shit up, and she still hasn't done it. And everybody's like, oh, well, that just means that this season she's gonna do it. No, too late in my book. I feel like Arya, since day fucking one, has stepped her shit up, dude. If anybody's gonna get that kind of like, oh, I'm queen of the fucking Queen of Westeros and shit, like she's sitting on the Iron Throne, that would be an ultimate smack in the fucking face. George Martin has said that his wife's favorite character is Arya, so that's why I'm gonna say that Arya is gonna get that arc. Maybe not this season. I don't know. I'm not saying I want Sansa to die, but I feel like she doesn't deserve that kind of arc. She's had way more chances, or she's had way too many chances to step up, and she still hasn't done it. I know they did that little clue shit with the corkscrew, and a lot of people think that that's foreshadowing for what she's gonna do. Fuck it. She's already had her chance. Arya needs to get that storyline. Like, Arya needs to make her way back, and she's getting the training. Like everybody keeps saying, like she's doing her blind ninja training. You know what I mean? In multiple interviews, the cast is like, yeah, Arya, she's gonna be a fucking badass, and as far as we know, she's still blind, but that's just gonna help. Like Dan and Dave have both said, like, yeah, that's just gonna help her be more of a badass warrior. She's on her like super badass mode quick. I just feel like Sansa doesn't deserve that story arc. Arya does, and it would be way more fucking believable if Arya got it, cause she's trained with assassins. She may not be the biggest and like the strongest, but she's quick. She's getting badass chases. She's fucking blind, and she's like running through the streets and shit. Like, okay, she might not be blind at that point, but she deserves it. Sansa doesn't. Long story short, in my opinion. I am in fact still working on those Game of Thrones in compared to real life, what their real life history that inspired them. And like I said in the other video, it was the War of the Roses in England between the Lancasters and the Yorks. Very fucking interesting story. Like, awesome shit. But yeah, those videos take a lot longer than these little videos, because this is basically a rant on different things. But anyway, contest is still going on. Night of the Seven Kingdoms. All you guys have to do is any video that I put out since March 14th until April 17th, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will be picking a random person, and I will contact you to get your information to send that book your way. I want to thank you all for watching. Make sure you go check out my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Sir Hunt's Reviews. The long nights. Winter is coming.